You want to know what separates the good from the great? What separates the average from the elite? I'll tell you right now, gratitude. Yeah, not talent, not luck, not money, not even hard work alone. It's gratitude. Gratitude is the game changer. Gratitude is what flips the switch. It's what transforms pain into power, struggle into strength, failure into foundation. The most successful people on this planet, they don't just grind. They grind gratefully. You think life is hard? You think your story disqualifies you from greatness? Let me tell you something. Gratitude doesn't erase the struggle. It reframes it. See, when you're grateful, the storm doesn't scare you anymore. The losses don't break you. You start to see the lesson. You begin to grow through what you go through. What you go through, I remember sleeping in an abandoned building. I remember not knowing where my next meal was coming from. I remember rejection, betrayal, loss. But I also remember the shift. I remember the moment I stopped asking, oh, why me? And started saying, thank you. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the pressure. Thank you for the preparation. Gratitude makes you dangerous. When you stop seeing life as something that's happening to you and start seeing it as something happening for you, nothing can stop you. That's when you become unstoppable. That's when your fuel isn't feed. It's thankfulness. That's when you stop complaining and start creating. Gratitude isn't soft. It's not a feel-good emotion you post about once a year on Thanksgiving. No, gratitude is a mindset. It's a discipline. It's a way of life. It's waking up and saying, I got breath in my lungs. I got a shot today and I refuse to waste it. That kind of mindset will keep you going when others quit. That kind of mindset will pull you out of depression. That kind of mindset will elevate you to your next level. And listen to me, gratitude is contagious. When you live in gratitude, you don't just change your life. You start changing the lives of everybody around you. Your team starts moving different. Your family starts believing different. Your community starts growing different. Because grateful people don't make excuses, they make moves. You don't need more stuff. You need more perspective. You don't need a new situation. You need a new spirit. A spirit of appreciation, a spirit that says, I may not have everything I want, but I have everything I need to go get it. The enemy wants you to focus on what you lack, but gratitude focuses on what you already have and then multiplies it. You appreciate your gifts, they grow. You appreciate your health, it improves. You appreciate your time, you invest it better. You appreciate people, they pour back into you. You want more, start appreciating more. Gratitude is the gateway to abundance, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. When you live in gratitude, your whole world expands. You were built for greatness, but you gotta start where you are. Stop waiting for the big break and start breaking through with what you got. Be grateful for the small beginnings. Be grateful for the late nights and early mornings. Be grateful for the no's that refine you and the yeses that define you. Listen to me. Gratitude will open doors that hustle alone could never unlock. It'll give you peace in chaos, power in weakness, and faith in the face of fear. Don't just say a thank you with your mouth. Say it with your life. Show it in how you show up, in how you show up, in how you grind. So today I'm challenging you. No, I'm daring you to shift, to see everything in your life as a gift. That setback, a gift. That delay, a gift. That disappointment, a gift. Because every gift, when received with gratitude, becomes a seed. And when you water that seed with work ethic, with patience, with praise, it grows. This ain't just motivation. This is transformation. You want to level up. Gratitude is the first step. Because when you're grateful, you're grounded, you're humble, you're focused, you're fearless, you're hungry, but you're also full of purpose, full of perspective, full of power. So don't wait for things to get better to be grateful. Be grateful and things will get better. Gratitude is the game changer. Use it. When you look at life through the lens of gratitude, everything changes. I'm not just talking about being polite and saying a thank you. I'm talking about a deep, intentional attitude of appreciation that changes how you see your pain. Because life, no matter who you are, is going to come with struggle. You're going to go through hardship. You're going to lose people. You're going to be betrayed, denied, overlooked, and misunderstood. That's just part of the human experience. But the difference between those who stay down and those who rise, the game changer, it's gratitude. Let me say this straight. Pain is unavoidable, but suffering is a choice, and gratitude is a tool that helps you choose differently. See, gratitude is not about pretending everything is okay. It's not about faking a smile when your world is falling apart. It's about choosing to find meaning in the mess. It's about refusing to let your pain define you and instead allowing it to refine you. I remember being homeless, sleeping in abandoned buildings, no food, no money, no direction. But even then, I found something to be grateful for. I was still breathing. I still had a mind. I still had time. That didn't erase the pain, but it gave me a reason to keep going. It gave me a reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, tomorrow could be different. That's the power of gratitude. It transforms pain into purpose. When you start looking at your challenges through a grateful heart, you stop asking, oh, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That's a powerful shift. That's where growth begins. Because life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Every trial, every setback, every closed door, it's all preparing you for what's next. But if you're too busy complaining, you'll miss the lesson. If you're focused on what you lost, you'll overlook what you still have. You don't grow from comfort. You grow from conflict. You grow when you're pushed to the edge and forced to find something deeper inside of you. Gratitude gives you access to that depth. It helps you reframe your struggle as a stepping stone. It teaches you that even in your weakest moment, there is still strength in you. And sometimes that strength only shows up when everything else is stripped away. Some people get bitter. Others get better. The difference? Gratitude. The bitter heart says, I didn't deserve this. The grateful heart said, this is hard, but I'm going to grow from it. One attitude keeps you stuck. The other sets you free. Look around. You'll see people with far less than you smiling, thriving, moving forward because they made the choice to be grateful for what they have instead of angry about what they don't. Gratitude gives you perspective. It opens your eyes to the blessings you've ignored. The fact that you can walk, hear, see, move, love, these are gifts. And too often we take them for granted until they're threatened or gone. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you thanked your struggle? Not just survived it, not just endured it, but actually appreciated it because that struggle shaped you. That loss matured you. That heartbreak softened you. That betrayal taught you to guard your peace. Every painful moment was molding you into the person you were destined to become. You don't get strength from sunshine and rainbows. You get it from storm. And when you can say a thank you for the rain, that's when you know you've leveled up. Think about a diamond. It doesn't become a diamond in comfort. It becomes a diamond under pressure. Gold has to go through fire before it shines. Seeds have to be buried in darkness before they grow. You are no different. Stop cursing the pressure and stop thanking it. It's not there to crush you. It's there to call the greatness out of you. Gratitude also humbles you. It reminds you that you didn't get here alone, that someone helped you, that someone prayed for you, that someone opened the door, made a sacrifice, believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. When you're grateful, you're not arrogant, you're aware. And that awareness makes you generous, compassionate, and strong. It turns your focus outward. You stop asking, oh, what can I get? And start asking, how can I give? Pain is part of the process, but gratitude is part of the healing. They go hand in hand. If you ignore gratitude, your pain becomes your identity. You become defined by what broke you. But when you embrace gratitude, your pain becomes your teacher. You become stronger, wiser, more focused. You stop seeing your scars as wounds and start seeing them as proof of survival. Some people ask me, how do you stay so motivated? The answer is simple. I remember where I came from. I never forget the nights I went to sleep hungry. I never forget the people who turned their backs on me. I never forget how far God brought me. That memory fuels my gratitude, and my gratitude fuels my grind. I don't need a fancy car or a big house to be thankful. I'm thankful because I have life. And as long as I have life, I have a chance. You need to understand that gratitude is not an event. It's a lifestyle. It's not something you do once a year on Thanksgiving. It's something you live every single day. Every morning you wake up, you should say a thank you. Before you check your phone, before you check your notifications, before you check the bad news, check your heart. If it's still beating, that means your purpose is still active. When you lead with gratitude, you attract more of what you're thankful for. It's a spiritual law. The more you appreciate, the more you'll have to appreciate. But if you keep focusing on lack, you'll keep experiencing lack. Shift your mindset. Start your day with thanks. Start your grind with thanks. Start your challenges with thanks. And let me be real, it's not always easy. Some days you're not going to feel grateful, but that's when it matters most. Gratitude isn't based on emotion. It's based on intention. You choose it even when it's hard. You choose to be thankful in the storm. You choose to be hopeful in the valley. You choose to be positive when everything around you is falling apart. That's power. That's maturity. That's greatness. So here's my challenge to you. The next time life hits you, don't react with anger. Don't run to social media to complain. Don't sit around waiting for sympathy. Get quiet. Get still. Look within and find something, even the smallest thing, to be thankful for. Maybe it's your heartbeat. Maybe it's your breath. Maybe it's a bread. Maybe it's just a chance to try again. Hold on to that. Let that become your anchor and then rise. Because when you're grateful, pain can't paralyze you. It might slow you down, but it won't stop you. You'll move forward with scars, but also with strength. You'll rise with a fire in your eyes and a purpose in your soul. Gratitude is the game changer. And when you live with it, nothing can defeat you. When you wake up every morning with gratitude in your heart, you become unstoppable. There's something different about a person who chooses to say a thank you the moment they open their eyes. It's not because life is perfect, not because they have everything they want, but because they understand that being alive is already a victory. That attitude, that mindset, it makes you dangerous to anything that tries to hold you back. You see, most people wake up focused on what they don't have. They start their day complaining about the weather, complaining about their job, their family, their circumstances, and then they wonder why they feel drained, why nothing's going their way. What they don't realize is that your mindset is a magnet. Whatever you think about most, you attract. When you start your day in gratitude, you attract peace, progress, and power. But when you start it with bitterness or lack, you invite more problems. Gratitude doesn't just shift your attitude, it shifts your energy. It changes your posture toward the day. When you live in gratitude, you're not waiting for a perfect moment to be happy. You're not depending on your bank account, your likes, or your circumstances to feel good about life. You're not begging for validation. You're already full. You've already won the moment you decided to appreciate what you have. That fullness becomes your power. That's what makes you unstoppable. Because while others are chasing something outside themselves to feel enough, you've already made the decision to be content while you grow. And here's what makes gratitude so incredible. It gives you energy, real, unstoppable energy. When you're grateful, you work harder, but with joy. You push further, but with purpose. You go through setbacks, but with perspective. You're not motivated by fear of failure. You're driven by appreciation for the opportunity to try. People ask, how do I stay motivated? Start with gratitude. Gratitude will have you showing up to the gym even when it's hard. Gratitude will have you studying even when you're tired. Gratitude will have you being calm when you feel like being cold. Because deep down, you're aware that everything you do is a privilege, not a punishment. Gratitude gives you grit. It fuels resilience. Because when you're thankful for the process, not just the prize, you stop giving up so easily. You stop quitting at the first sign of resistance. You don't see obstacles as reasons to turn back. You see them as part of the path. A grateful person understands that the journey itself is a blessing. Even the tough days, even the delays, even the denials. Because you know that everything is preparing you for something greater. You ever notice how people with the least sometimes have the most joy? How people who've gone through hell still smile, still give, still serve. That's the power of gratitude. It gives you inner wealth. You might not have much in your hands, but your heart is full. And when your heart is full, you walk different, you speak different, you lead different, you become a light in the darkness because you're not defined by what's around you. You're driven by what's inside you. Gratitude also makes you dependable. See, when you're grateful, you're consistent. You're not moody. You're not showing up one day and disappearing the next. You're rooted. People can count on you because you're not easily swayed by setbacks or external noise. You don't need things to be perfect to be productive. You don't need applause to keep moving forward. Your engine runs on appreciation. In contrast, an ungrateful person is unstable. They'll work hard today and quit tomorrow. They'll celebrate success but fall apart and struggle. Their motivation is circumstantial, so their progress is unpredictable. But you're grounded, you're focused, because your gratitude gives you a reason to show up every single day. Let me tell you something powerful. When you lead with gratitude, you become dangerous to fear. Fear can't live in the same space as gratitude. Why? Because fear thrives in scarcity. Fear says, oh, what if I fail? What if I lose? What if I'm not enough? But gratitude says, I'm thankful for the chance to try. I'm thankful I've come this far. I'm thankful for everything I've already survived. And when you start stacking your blessings, your fears start shrinking. When you're aware of how much you've already overcome, nothing ahead of you feels impossible. That's why I say grateful people are unstoppable, because you can't discourage someone who's already thankful. You can't slow down someone who sees every challenge as training. You can't defeat someone who's focused on what they still have, not what they lost. Gratitude makes you resilient. It makes you tough. It makes you rise again and again and again. And listen, gratitude is about ignoring your problems. It's not pretending that everything is perfect. It's about choosing your focus. Yes, you may be struggling right now. Yes, life may be hard. But can you still find one thing to be thankful for? Your breath, your mind, your progress, your support system, your opportunity. That one thing is enough to shift your mindset. And once your mindset shifts, everything else starts to change. I remember times when all I had was a little faith and a lot of fight. Now, I didn't have money, I didn't have comfort, I didn't have a guarantee, but I had gratitude. And that gratitude reminded me that I wasn't done yet, that I had more inside me, that I didn't come this far to quit. And every time I wanted to give up, I thought about the people who would give anything to be in my position. I thought about the younger version of me who prayed for the very life I'm living now. That reflection kept me going. That awareness kept me driven. Gratitude also strengthens your vision. When you're grateful, your eyes stay on the prize. You're not distracted by petty things. You're not worried about what other people have. You're not comparing your path to theirs. You're running your race with joy. You're watering your grass. You're focused on your own harvest. That's a rare kind of power in a world obsessed with competition and comparison. You want to be unstoppable? Start appreciating your process. Start honoring your growth. Start recognizing the small wins that no one claps for. You showed up today. That's a win. You kept your peace when you could have snapped. That's a win. You kept believing when it would have been easier to quit. That's a win. Stack those wins. Celebrate them. Be grateful for them, because they're building something inside of you that nothing can take away. Gratitude also makes you generous. When you're thankful, you're not threatened by someone else's success. You can celebrate them because you know your blessings are on the way. You're not stuck in scarcity. You operate from abundance. That makes you a blessing to others. You lift others up. You share what you've learned. You become the encourager, the leader, the mentor, not because you have everything, but because you appreciate everything. And here's the truth. Gratitude keeps your soul healthy. Just like your body needs food, your soul needs appreciation. Without it, you become bitter, angry, entitled. But with it, you become joyful, patient, and strong. Gratitude protects your peace. It guards your spirit. It keeps you from falling apart when things don't go your way. So let me ask you this. Are you living in gratitude, or are you just waiting to be happy one day? Because let me tell you, if you can't be grateful for what you have now, you won't be grateful when you get more. Gratitude isn't about the amount. It's about the awareness. It's about saying, oh, matters, this opportunity is sacred. This life is a gift. Grateful people don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfection. They move, they grow, they grind, they love, they lead, they create. Because they understand that life owes them nothing, and yet they've already been given so much. You want to break through? You want to level up? You want to step into the next chapter of your life with power and purpose? Start with gratitude. Build your foundation on it. Let it fuel every step you take. Because when your spirit is full of thanks, your life becomes full of strength. And when you walk in that strength, you become unstoppable. You cannot complain and win at the same time. It's just not possible. That's a truth that too many people miss because they get so comfortable with complaining. They don't even realize they're doing it. They think it's just venting. They think it's just venting. They think it's just up being real. But here's what they don't understand. Complaining doesn't change your situation. It changes you to it. Every time you complain, you give your power away. You trade your strength for sympathy. And you can't rise while you're stuck in a mindset of blame. Winners don't complain. They don't have time for it. Because when you're locked in, when you're focused on the goal, when you're deep in the grind, you're too busy building to be bitter. You're too committed to be complaining. That doesn't mean you ignore the struggle. It means you choose a better response. You shift from a why me to a watch me. You go from this isn't fair to this will fuel me. That's a mental transformation. And that's what separates champions from the crowd. Complaining is a habit. And like any habit, the more you do it, the more it becomes automatic. It starts small. Maybe you complain about the weather. Then it's your job. Then it's your boss. Then it's your spouse. Before you know it, you're addicted to the sound of your own negativity. You start seeing the world through a filter of frustration. You expect disappointment. You anticipate failure. And here's the problem. What you focus on, you feel. So when you're focused on what's wrong, that becomes your reality. But gratitude rewires your brain. It shifts your focus from lack to abundance. It changes your internal dialogue. You stop saying, I can't believe I have to go through this. And you start saying, I'm thankful I get to grow through this. That one shift changes everything. Because now, instead of being drained by your situation, you're driven by it. You use it, you flip it. You let it shape you instead of break you. Let me tell you something. You are not a victim. Life didn't put you here to sit around complaining about what's not working. You were built to create, to lead, to overcome. But you can't do that if your mouth is constantly speaking defeat. Words have power. And when your words are negative, your actions follow. That's why complaining is so dangerous. It conditions you to accept less than your potential. It becomes a form of self-sabotage. You can't complain and grow. You can't complain and lead. You can't complain and inspire. Those things require vision. They require discipline. And most importantly, they require accountability. Complaining is easy. It lets you dodge responsibility. It allows you to blame your parents, your past, your circumstances, your environment, but none of that helps you move forward. Blame is a cage, and the moment you choose accountability, you break free. You ever notice how the most successful people don't spend their time whining? They're not online crying about how hard life is. They're too busy executing, too busy creating solutions, too busy making adjustments. Winners get tired, they get frustrated. They face setbacks just like everyone else. But they don't stay there. They wallow. They adapt. They overcome. Because they understand that energy is currency. And complaining is a waste of that currency. Think about how much energy it takes to complain. To keep talking about what went wrong. To replay the same drama over and over in your head. That energy could have been used to plan, to build, to improve, to heal. But instead, it's spent on negativity. And the return on that investment is zero. No growth, no progress, just more frustration. And here's the kicker. The more you complain, the more you attract situations to complain about. It's like you're telling the universe, give me more of this. And it listens. That's why some people stay stuck for years. They're not stuck because of lack of talent or opportunity. They're stuck because of mindset, because they keep rehearsing the problem instead of pursuing the solution. Now, I'm not saying you should pretend everything's perfect. I'm not saying you should bottle up your feelings or ignore pain. That's not healthy either. But there's a difference between expressing your feelings and making complaining your identity. There's a difference between being real and being negative. You've got to find that balance. You got to learn how to feel the emotion without letting it run your life. Gratitude is the antidote. It's the weapon. It's how you fight back. You start looking for what's good. You start appreciating what's working. You start focusing on what you can do instead of what you can't. That doesn't mean you settle. It means you stay in power. It means you operate from strength instead of scarcity. Let me ask you something. When was the last time complaining changed your life for the better? When was the last time whining about your job got you a raise? When was the last time posting about how unfair life has actually helped you move forward? The answer is never. Because complaining creates a false sense of productivity. It feels like you're doing something. But in reality, you're just spinning your wheels. You have to make a decision. Are you going to be a creator or a complainer? Because you can't be both. Creators take what they're given and build something with it. Complainers take what they're given and throw it back. Creators use the storm to grow stronger. Complainers use the storm as an excuse to quit. I'll be honest. I used to be a complainer. I used to look at my situation and feel sorry for myself. Homeless, broke, no father, no direction. I had every reason to complain. But one day God to rescue me. Nobody was going to hand me a better life. If I wanted to win, I had to stop wanting to win. I had to stop wanting and start working. I had to stop feeling sorry for myself and start fighting for myself. That shift didn't happen overnight, but it happened the moment I took responsibility. Responsibility is freedom. The moment you stop pointing fingers, you get your power back. You stop being a passenger in your own life and start driving the car. You may not be responsible for everything that happened to you, but you are responsible for how you respond. That's where your power lies. That's how you take control of your future. Look around you. Every champion you admire had reasons to complain. They had pain. They had setbacks, but they chose purpose over pity. They chose focus over frustration. They chose to rise, and now people look up to them. Not because their path was easy, but because they didn't let the hard part stop them. You have that same power. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need approval. You don't need a miracle. You need a decision. A decision to stop speaking defeat. A decision to stop giving energy to things that drain you. A decision to start owning your greatness. And let me be real. This is a daily choice. Complaining is a habit, but so is gratitude. You've got to train your mind. You've got to catch yourself when you start to drift. Replace the complaint with a commitment. Replace the blame with belief. Replace the problem with a plan. Start your day with a thank you. Not just when things are good, but especially when they're not, because that's when it counts the most. Gratitude in the struggle is what builds character. It's what builds grit. It's what makes you unstoppable. So the next time you feel like complaining, ask yourself, is this helping me win? Is this moving me forward? Is this how a leader thinks? If the answer is no, stop. Shift. Choose differently. Choose to speak life. Choose to speak hope. Choose to speak strength. Because at the end of the day, your words shape your world. And if you want a life of power, you've got to speak like someone who's already victorious. No more excuses. No more pity parties. No more complaints. You were born to win, but you got to speak like it. Live like it, grind like it, and it starts with gratitude. When you show up in life with a heart full of gratitude, you unlock something powerful. Relationships that go beyond the surface, connections that stand the test of time. Gratitude in relationships is not just about saying a thank you when someone holds the door or gives you a gift. It's about honoring people for who they are, not just what they do for you. It's about recognizing their presence, their efforts, their energy, and making sure they know they matter. Gratitude builds trust, and trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship, whether personal or professional. So many people today are transactional. They move through life asking, what can I get from this person? Rather than what can I give? That mindset creates shallow connection. You might get something in the short term, but it won't last. Because real relationships are built on mutual respect, not manipulation. And gratitude is the difference. Gratitude says, I see you. I appreciate you. Not because you're perfect, but because you showed up. You stayed. You cared. You contribute. That kind of acknowledgement strengthens bonds like nothing else. Think about it. How do you feel when someone genuinely appreciates you? Not just a quick thanks, but when someone takes the time to say, you've made a difference in my life. You've supported me. You've helped me grow. It makes you want to do more. It inspires loyalty. It fuels love. It drives collaboration. That's what gratitude does. It multiplies good energy. Too many people ruin their relationships because they stop being grateful. They start taking people for granted. That friend who's always there, they stop saying thank you. That partner who supports them, they begin to expect it without reciprocating. That mentor who gave them wisdom, they forget to acknowledge it. And over time, those small acts of neglect build resentment. People start to feel invisible, unvalued, and used. That's how connections break, not always with loud arguments, but with silent ingratitude. If you want to build something lasting, whether it's a marriage, a friendship, a team, a business partnership, you have to show appreciation consistent. You have to make people feel seen. Because every person you encounter is fighting a battle you may never understand. And sometimes your words of gratitude are the reminder they need to keep going. A simple "I value you," "I'm thankful for you," or your effort measure can breathe life into someone's weary soul. Gratitude is also about humility. It means acknowledging that you didn't get where you are alone. That someone opened the door for you, taught you a lesson, gave you a chance, or believed in you when you couldn't believe in yourself. When you're truly grateful, you're not arrogant, you're aware that your success is tied to others, that no matter how independent or talented you are, you still needed people along the way. The truth is, we live in a world that encourages independence but undervalues interdependence. But the greatest victories in life are not solo performances. They're symphonies of collaboration. Behind every successful person is a tribe, a circle, a community. And the glue that holds that community together is gratitude. In families, gratitude can be the difference between peace and pain. Children who feel appreciated thrive. Spouses who express appreciation for each other grow closer. Siblings who say, "I love you," and a "thank you" build deeper bonds. But when gratitude disappears, so does the joy. People start focusing on each other's flaws instead of their gifts. They highlight what's missing instead of cherishing what's there. That's when love starts to fade. Not because it's gone, but because it's been starved of acknowledgement. In friendships, gratitude is what keeps the connection real. Friends who appreciate each other check in even when life gets busy. They support without being asked. They celebrate each other's wins and mourn each other's losses. They don't keep score because love is not a transaction. It's a commitment. And gratitude reinforces that commitment. It reminds both sides that you matter to me not just when it's convenient. Not just when it's convenient. Always a superpower. The best leaders aren't the ones who demand respect. They're the ones who give it. They create cultures where people feel valued. They recognize effort. They say a thank you for the long hours, the loyalty, the sacrifice. And as a result, their teams go the extra mile. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Gratitude inspires that kind of dedication. It creates emotional safety, and people will do more in an environment where they feel seen and appreciated. Even in tough moments, gratitude can heal. When there's tension, when mistakes are made, when relationships hit rough patches, gratitude brings perspective. It reminds you of the good times. It helps you see the person, not just the problem. It softens your heart so you can forgive, rebuild, and restore. Without gratitude, your ego runs the show. But with it, your heart leads, and healing becomes possible. Sometimes we wait too long to express gratitude. We assume people know how we feel. We think there will always be time. But the truth is, people leave. Life changes. Opportunities pass. Say it now. Send the text. Make the call. Write the note. Hug them tight. Look them in the eyes and say, "I'm grateful for you," because you never know what that moment might mean to them or to you. And don't just reserve your gratitude for those who are good to you. Be grateful even for the ones who challenged you, the people who pushed you, the ones who walked away and taught you how to stand alone, the ones who criticized you and made you reflect, the ones who disappointed you and showed you the strength of your own resilience. They were part of your journey too, and while they may not stay in your life, their impact shaped you. That's something to be grateful for. Let's also talk about the gratitude you show through action. Words are powerful, but actions give them life. You show gratitude by showing up, by listening, by helping, by supporting someone else's dream, by doing the little things that say, "You matter to me." Gratitude is shown in how you treat people when no one's watching, when there's nothing to gain. When it's inconvenient, because that's when it's real. Make it a habit to check on your people. Celebrate their wins. Be there in their losses. Give without expectation. Say thank you without reason. And never be too proud to express appreciation. The strongest people are the ones who understand the power of a kind word, a grateful heart, and a giving spirit. And while you're being grateful for others, don't forget to let others be grateful for you. Don't downplay your worth. Don't dismiss compliments. Let the love in. When someone says they appreciate you, believe them. When they say you've made a difference, receive it. That's also part of gratitude, acknowledging that you are a blessing too. If you want to win in life, relationships are everything. No one climbs alone. And gratitude is the tool that turns connections into commitments, strangers into friends, co-workers into allies, and moments into memories. It's not just a nice gesture, it's a life strategy, one that will take you further than talent ever could. Because in the end, people won't remember what you had. They'll remember how you made them feel. And if you made them feel appreciated, if you made them feel seen, if you made them feel valued, you've already won. So build your relationships on gratitude. Speak it. Show it. Live it. Because when you do, your life won't just be full of success, it'll be full of significance. Success without gratitude is emptiness. You can have all the accolades, the applause, the money, the fame. But if you lack gratitude, you will always feel a void inside of you. There are people walking around right now who have everything the world told them to chase. The big house, the luxury car, the high-paying job, a social media following, maybe even international recognition. And yet, they are still searching, still feeling empty, still unfulfilled. Because they climbed a mountain and forgot to look back and say a thank you. They forgot to acknowledge the people, the moments, and even the hardships that shaped them. Gratitude gives meaning to success. Without it, all achievements are just temporary highs, short-lived and shallow. We live in a world that celebrates hustle, grind, and achievement. And there's nothing wrong with that. But somewhere along the journey, we've confused success with fulfillment. They're not the same. Fulfillment comes from the soul. Fulfillment comes when you wake up and you're not just proud of what you've accomplished, but grateful for how you got there. It's when you can look at your path, the wins and the wounds, and appreciate them all. Gratitude is what gives your story weight, purpose, and power. And that's what makes you feel successful, not just look successful. You ever seen someone at the top who's bitter? You ever seen someone who made it, but they're angry, cold, unkind? They bark at their employees, ignore their families, and isolate themselves. They've lost touch with the humanity that helped them get there. That's success without gratitude. It's lonely. It's hollow. It's like sitting in a mansion with no one to share the moment with. Share the moment with. Because somewhere along the way, they forgot to say a thank you. They forgot to acknowledge the people who opened doors, gave advice, extended grace, believed in them when no one else did. And now they're surrounded by things, not love. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that no one makes it alone. Even when you're doing the work, even when you're sacrificing and sweating and staying up all night, someone somewhere made a contribution to your journey. Maybe it was your mother's prayers, your father's discipline, your mentor's wisdom, or a stranger's act of kindness. Gratitude says, I didn't get here by myself. And that attitude keeps you from becoming arrogant. It keeps you from developing that toxic mindset of entitlement that says, I deserve everything I had and no one helped me. That mindset kills relationships, kills opportunities, and eventually kills your spirit. Gratitude keeps you human. And let's talk about the deeper blessing that gratitude brings, joy. See, when you're grateful, you're able to enjoy your success. You don't just look for the next big thing, the next milestone, the next title. You appreciate what you already have. Gratitude gives you permission to rest in the moment and be content. It says, yes, I want more, but I'm not going to ignore what's already here. A grateful heart celebrates today while still striving for tomorrow. That's a beautiful balance that most people miss. Let me tell you something. I've seen people who made it to the top and lost themselves. And I've seen people who never forgot where they came from. The difference, gratitude. One is chasing approval. The other is living in appreciation. One is trying to prove their worth. The other knows they're already blessed. That's the game changer. Gratitude frees you from needing validation. You stop living for the applause and start living with peace. You no longer have to impress because you're already impressed by the life you get to live. Gratitude also fuels generosity. When you recognize how much you've received, you're moved to give back. You become a fountain instead of a drain. You look for ways to pour into others, to open doors for someone else, to lift as you climb. Gratitude makes your success multiply, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you. That's real leadership. That's legacy. When you succeed with gratitude, you don't just change your life. You become a catalyst for change in other people's lives. Now let's be real. It's not always easy to be grateful when you're grinding, when you're in the trenches, when you're failing, when you're facing betrayal or loss. Gratitude can feel impossible, but that's when it matters most. Because success built without gratitude during the struggle won't sustain you when the lights come on. You'll get there, but you'll be emotionally broke. Gratitude during the grind gives you perspective. It helps you say, I don't like this season, but I'm learning from it. I'm growing, I'm becoming. That kind of gratitude builds resilience. That's the kind of spirit that doesn't just achieve, it endures. There's also something deeply spiritual about gratitude. It connects you to a higher purpose. It reminds you that life is not just about outcomes, but about alignment, about walking in your calling, about becoming who you were meant to be. When you're grateful, you live with more intention. You see your work as a gift. You see your platform as a privilege, and that creates impact. Gratitude shifts your heart from self-centeredness to service. You stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, how can I give? So many people chase success because they think it will fill the emptiness they feel inside. But no amount of money, fame, or recognition will ever heal a heart that lacks gratitude. You want to feel full? You want to feel alive? Start saying a thank you for the little things, for the people, for the lessons. Look around and count your blessings, not your problems. You'll find that you're already rich in grace, in experience, in opportunity. And from that place, you'll build something that's not just successful, but meaningful. Let me leave you with this. If you're on the road to success, make sure gratitude is riding with you. Don't leave it behind. Don't leave it behind. Don't wait till you arrive to start appreciating the journey. Gratitude should be in your daily routine, your mindset, your prayers. Because the more you give thanks, the more you'll realize how much you already have. And that right there, that's the difference between a life that looks full and a life that feels full. Gratitude is a game changer. Don't just succeed with a grateful heart. Gratitude transforms relationships by nurturing empathy, connection, self-appreciation for the people in our lives. When we talk about success, growth, or transformation, we often focus on goals, skills, discipline, and ambition. But one of the most overlooked and powerful forces is gratitude, especially in how we relate to other people. Relationships, whether personal, professional, or even spiritual, are the very fabric of our lives. The strength of those relationships is determined not by what we can give, but by how much we give, how much we appreciate, how much we honor and acknowledge those around us. Let's be real. In a world that's constantly pushing us to be self-focused, self-promoting, and self-protected, gratitude reminds us that we are not alone. No one rises alone. No one builds anything significant alone. And when we pause long enough to appreciate others, their efforts, their love, their support, even their challenges, we stop treating people like background noise and start treating them like the blessing they are. Gratitude opens the door to empathy. It allows us to see beyond our own struggles and recognize the struggles of others. It makes us slower to judge and quicker to understand. When someone wrongs us or disappoints us, gratitude helps us respond with grace instead of resentment, because we realize how many times we've been shown mercy too. When you approach your relationships from a place of gratitude, you stop seeing people as what they can do for you, and instead see them for who they are. Individuals with their own stories, their own journeys, and their own value. This changes how we communicate. It changes how we listen. It changes how we show up. Gratitude also heals. So many relationships are broken, not because of big betrayals, but because of small, consistent neglects. Forgetting to say thank you, taking someone's support for granted, assuming that people know they're appreciated without actually saying it. When you start expressing gratitude intentionally and consistently, whether it's to a partner, a parent, a friend, a colleague, it creates a shift. It softens hearts. It reopens doors. It builds trust. In marriage, gratitude is one of the most powerful tools to keep love alive. When you wake up every day and thank your partner, not just for the big stuff, but for the small thing, you cultivate a spirit of appreciation that can outlast the storm. Gratitude says, I see you. It says, you matter. It says, you matter. And in a world where people often feel overlooked and undervalued, that acknowledgement can mean everything. In parenting, gratitude teaches our children to value relationships over things. When kids grow up hearing words of appreciation, they don't just learn manners, they learn mindset. They learn to respect people. They learn to say thank you, not just as a habit, but as a way of living. And that would take them further in life than any textbook ever could. In leadership, gratitude transforms teams. Leaders who lead with gratitude don't just get better performance, they get loyalty, innovation, and unity. People are willing to go the extra mile when they feel seen and appreciated. And it doesn't take much. A handwritten note, a sincere compliment, public recognition. These small acts of gratitude build a culture where people thrive instead of just survive. Now, let's talk about forgiveness. Gratitude doesn't just connect us to others. It also helps us forgive. You can't hold on to bitterness and gratitude at the same time. One has to go. When we're stuck in resentment, it's often because we're focused on what we lost, what went wrong, or how we were hurt. But when we shift our focus to what we still have, to what we've learned, to the people who stayed, something changes. Gratitude gives us the strength to release the weight of anger and to move forward with peace. Gratitude also teaches humility. When you recognize how many people have contributed to your journey, teachers, mentors, friends, family, even critics, you realize that success isn't just yours. It's a shared victory. That humility makes you more approachable, more generous, and more connected. It reminds you that you have a responsibility to pay it forward. Gratitude creates a ripple effect in relationships. When you express it, others are inspired to do the same. It multiplies. It spreads. It creates an environment where people feel loved, supported, and encouraged. And when people feel that, they flourish. Think about it. When was the last time you genuinely thanked someone from your heart? Not out of obligation, but because you truly recognize their impact in your life. And when was the last time someone did that for you? Remember it, right? Because gratitude sticks. It matters. It leaves a mark. We live in a fast-paced world, but gratitude slows us down just enough to notice the kindness, to notice the effort, to notice the love that's all around us, even in the midst of challenges. That shift in awareness makes us better partners, better parents, better friends, better leaders, and better humans. Gratitude isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes strength to appreciate others when you're under pressure. It takes strength to say thank you when you're going through hell. It takes strength to acknowledge that you didn't make it on your own. But that strength builds bridges. It builds communities. It builds legacies. So if you want to change your relationship, start with gratitude. Make it a practice. Make it a priority. Don't wait until someone is gone to express how much they meant to you. Don't wait for a holiday or a crisis. Start now. Say it today. Write that message. Make that call. Look someone in the eye and tell them what they mean to you. Because gratitude, when practiced daily, doesn't just change relationships, changes lives. When gratitude becomes your language, love becomes your lifestyle. You attract better people. You create better bonds, and you build a better world, one thank you at a time. Gratitude is not just about saying a thank you when life hands you a gift. It's about cultivating a mindset that rewires how you respond to adversity, challenges, and even heartbreak. Most people only know how to be grateful when life is going their way. They give thanks when they get the job, when the bank account looks good, or when the relationship is sweet. But true growth happens when you learn to be grateful even when life is hard. When you don't get the job, when money is tight, or when someone you love walks away. That's the next level of gratitude. That's where the game changes. Because here's the truth. Adversity is life's greatest teacher. And gratitude is the lens that helps you learn the lesson. When you face loss, failure, disappointment, those aren't just dark moments to survive. There are opportunities to gain wisdom, to grow stronger, to see what you're made of. But you can't see those lessons if you're too busy complaining. You can't grow if your heart is filled with bitterness. Gratitude forces you to ask a new question. Now, why me? It shifts your energy from victim to victor, from broken to building, from despair to development. There are people walking around right now with a victim mindset. Something bad happened 5 years ago, and they're still angry. Something didn't go their way, and they've allowed it to become their identity. But gratitude says, yes, it hurt. Yes, it was hard. But I'm still here. I still have breath in my lungs. I still have purpose in my heart. And I'm going to use this pain to push me forward instead of pulling me down. Gratitude gives you the power to take control of your story. You're no longer defined by what happened to you. You're defined by how you responded. Think about it. When you face failure, gratitude lets you see that failure isn't final. It's feedback. It's like saying, here's what didn't work. Now go try something else. And instead of shutting down or giving up, you lean in. You say, thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the redirection. Thank you for the resilience that's being built in you through the struggle. Gratitude isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest form. It's you standing tall in the middle of the storm saying, I will not break. I will bend. I will bend. I will stretch. I will adjust. But I will not break. Gratitude in hard times is also about perspective. When you're in pain, it's easy to focus on what's missing, but gratitude forces you to focus on what's left. You may have lost some things, but you haven't lost everything. You may have made mistakes, but you're still worthy of a comeback. You may be tired, but you're not finished. Gratitude gives you access to the bigger picture, reminding you that this one moment isn't the whole story. It's just a chapter, and it's not the final one. Some of the most successful people you admire, it didn't just experience gratitude in the good times. They found it in the hard times. They built their character, their discipline, their drive, not in moments of comfort, but in seasons of chaos. And the reason they didn't quit, gratitude became their anchor when everything around them was shifting. Gratitude became their compass when they felt lost. Gratitude became the voice inside them that said, you still have what it takes. You gotta train your mind to see the good, even when life doesn't feel good. That's a muscle you build. Just like you build strength in the gym. And every time you say a thank you in the face of pain, you're getting stronger. Every time you choose to smile through the struggle, you're training your soul to rise above. You're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving through it. Because now your gratitude isn't conditional, it's foundational. You can't let hard times harden you. That's what life wants to do. It wants to make you bitter. It wants you to walk around angry, closed off, full of resentment. But gratitude keeps your heart soft. It keeps your mind open. It keeps your soul aligned with purpose. When life tries to steal your joy, gratitude says, not today. When people walk out on you, gratitude says, thank you for making room for what's next. When plans fall apart, gratitude says, maybe there's a better plan. And that's power. That's how you win the battle inside. And listen, gratitude isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's not about ignoring the pain or smile. It's about acknowledging the pain and still finding something to be thankful for. It's about saying, yes, I'm hurting, but I'm healing. Yes, I'm struggling, but I'm growing. Yes, I'm grieving, but I'm still grateful. That's authenticity. That's strength. That's what transforms your pain into power. There's a story in every struggle, but you only get the revelation when you have the right attitude. Gratitude unlocks the lesson. It turns your wounds into wisdom. It takes the ashes of your loss and turns them into fuel for your future. You may not have chosen the pain, but you can choose your response. And when you choose gratitude, you choose growth. When you choose gratitude, you choose victory. When you choose gratitude, you change your life. So if you're going through something hard right now, don't run from it. Lean into it, find the lesson, find the strength. And above all, find the gratitude. Because once you can thank life for the struggle, you've already won. You've already stepped into a higher version of yourself. And nothing, no failure, no rejection, no heartbreak can stop you now. You are not defined by what went wrong. You are defined by what you do next. Let gratitude be your guide. Let it be the fuel that pushes you forward. And remember, you don't have to wait for everything to be perfect to be grateful. Gratitude is what makes the journey worth it, even the hard parts. Gratitude is the game changer. And once you master that, there's no limit to where you can go.